So it's my really privilege to introduce Mr. AK Taneja, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Shriram Pistons Rings. You might blame me for bringing in somebody who is our next door neighbor in Ghaziabad. So I thought, because in a situation here in South, bringing a person from North probably will add not only a different perspective, but incidentally, we invited him about 4 or 5 years back in Pune, and since then he was so much in demand by IMTMA and the people that twice more we invited, but unfortunately, for some reasons he could not make it. So I'm really glad today that Ashok has able to come today and be here at the birthplace of the National Productivity Summit, which was started in 2006. Another thing that because immediately 2007 and 9 I was the president, I was very much wanting that this event must rotate throughout the country, because IMTMA was already making its offices in Bangalore and movement. Major manufacturer also in South. So how do we spread this idea in North? But friends, ladies and gentlemen, here is a person, besides that he has this distinction of heading Shriram Pistons Rings since 1988, nearly 30 years back. The company also has technology partnership with Kolben Schmidt, Germany, Deacon Corporation, Japan, and some other Honda Foundry also, and a few geojects. Besides that, Mr. Taneja has been a past president of ECMA, you all know, which has 750 leading manufacturers, and most of our customers come from that body. He has been the chairman of Young Business Leaders Forum. He has been also the chairman of ECMA Center of Excellence. And when you hear him, you will see what kind of excellence he brings into, and which has 1988, when Shriram Pistons was taken over by DCM group. It was a plant that had been closed for 9 months because of the situation at that time, the industrial situation in Ghaziabad and North at that time. He was given a mandate to, probably by the Charataram people, he told us just before that probably to close the unit because it was not working well at all. But it is within 6 months, he not only changed it, and also the chairman gave him 1 more year to say, okay, make one rupee profit. And he is proudly in the next 1 year, he made 20 lakhs rupee profit. So a company which was closed for several years and a sick company taken over by him, he led it to be the #1 in piston rings, pistons and engine valves. All the 3 things which are primarily this city had #1 manufacturer. So I really feel very proud that being my neighbor in North, he has brought this distinction, and they are the largest producer of these items in country, and the most profitable also, and highest exporters also. So he is a member of the National Council of CII for many years now, chairman of Tata Motors National Vendor Council, and many other, even Bajaj Auto Vendor Association, he is on the board. He did his BTech from IIT Kanpur. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. AK Taneja, great friend of ours.
Mr. Ramdas, President of IMTMA, all the IMTMA office bearers, my senior colleagues from the industry, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I will not spend any time to make any amendments in what Mr. Dhand very generously described as the journey of Shriram Pistons from starting as a unit that was sick to a position where it is the largest manufacturer of pistons, rings, engine valves in the country, the largest exporter, the most profitable. and the fastest growing. But beyond that, I will say that I am blessed with an extraordinary team of people who have helped us in this journey, and we have exceptionally good position with our customers, many of whom are sitting in this audience. And I will request them to note everything about the fact that we are number one in production, number one in exports, number one supplier to OEMs, but please forget that we are most profitable. Otherwise, we'll get a request for price reduction tomorrow morning. Okay. I want to take you back to the IMTMA Productivity Summit, which was held in August 2010 in Pune. I do not know if any of you were present there or not, but I had the opportunity to share some thoughts about the myths and concerns about manufacturing competitiveness in that forum. At that time, I had shared 5 thoughts, and I thought it's useful to recapitulate some of these and put them in the context of how things have changed and what we need to think differently to meet the requirements in the future. At that time, I had stated that this is the best time to be in India, and this is the best time to be an Indian. It's very clear that India has a great future, and we can be part of that great story. At that time, I had also stated that India is full of opportunities, abundant opportunities, but they are available to those who are prepared or willing to prepare for it. It is not a river which is rising on which all boats will rise. It is for those who will be willing to crank up and get ready for the new India. The second thought I had presented was that the big challenge for most of us going forward will be demand will pick up and we will not know how to keep pace. And the biggest challenge for growth is going to be not capital, not technology, but the biggest challenge will be management quality and management bandwidth. And therefore, I had advocated the need to invest in talent pipelines, to build talent, and to be able to invest in professionals. I had also challenged that as long as we continue to show people as an expense in a profit and loss statement, and we continue to show machine tools as assets, we will never realize the full potential and never achieve manufacturing competitiveness. The third point I had presented was that customers will expect more for less. And either you get your act right or somebody else will eat your cake. The customer will continue to demand more. The fourth thought I had presented in that summit was that every company is focusing on improving shop floor productivity, the productivity of our associates. But it is time to concentrate on white-collar productivity. You cannot have true competitiveness unless white-collar productivity improves alongside blue-collar productivity. And white-collar includes all of us who are sitting here. And the fifth thought which I had left in the summit with my colleagues was that auto industry is a great example of continuous improvement. They will give you new features in a car or in a motorcycle. They will give you new models. They'll give you better quality. They'll give you better technology, more fuel efficiency. Every new model you buy, you will get some major improvements. Why don't we see that in machine tools? Why is the pace of improvement in the machine tool industry so much slower? I had also presented in the same breath a thought that No country went from an emerging market to a developed market without its machine tool industry playing a very significant role. Without a vibrant machine tool industry, which is modern, sophisticated, and taking us ahead, you cannot expect to become a manufacturing hub for automobiles or auto components or for white goods or whatever. I believe all that I shared, all these 5 thoughts that I shared in 2010 are still valid. However, many things have changed now, including the need for sustenance. It's not only about doing something well, but how do you sustain that cycle of virtuous cycle of improvement? I also believe many other things have changed in the environment in India and globally, and we need to take stock of those to revisit the way we are addressing the question of manufacturing competitiveness. Let me first revisit very quickly where are we today in the country and in the global context. Number one, there is greater uncertainty in the market today than ever before. And this uncertainty is not only because of geopolitics, of Trump and China going to trade war. It is also due to a hyperactive regulatory environment in our country. Ask Bajaj Auto who are in the audience, or ask Mahindra who are in the audience, how many knee-jerk regulatory changes they have seen in safety regulations, in emission regulations, and so many other issues connected with the auto industry, almost without notice. The change in the axle norms which were announced for trucks recently. So we are in a hyperactive regulatory environment, which means you have to be ready for a dramatic change at short notice. Interestingly, we are entering an era of deglobalization, of protectionism. We saw globalization in the last 3 decades, and supply chains got built up accordingly. I will manufacture in the place where it's most competitive, and I will supply the world. We are now seeing make in America, make in India, make in China, tariff levels going up, deep concern being shown by countries that I don't want my jobs going out. There is increasing protectionism, and therefore the supply chains are going to get disrupted and changed. And therefore our business models will change. If you want to remain competitive, you will have to reinvent. Perhaps deep localization will be the answer for our machine tool industry, where a lot more of the critical components will need to be done here, because it will no longer be possible to think of a world in which there is free globalization and free trade. I think that era is behind us, and we have entered a new era. A third thought about current position, that India is moving very rapidly towards urbanization. I had a chance to look at a film of what Gurgaon city looked like 30 years back, 20 years back, 10 years back, and today. And I can tell you it's a difference between moon and earth. There is such rapid urbanization taking place. You may wonder, what does urbanization have to do with me? Of course it has everything to do with you and me. Because with urbanization comes growing aspirations of people. Affordable mobility, shared mobility. The business models will change. Affordable housing of a different order. A person who's living in a village and a person who's living in a city have different expectations, and these have a bearing on our business. There's a fourth thing which has changed since we last met in 2010. There is a crazy race for acquiring customers. People are willing to pay huge price for acquiring a new customer or retaining an old customer. I'm sure you've seen what the Flipkarts and the Myntras and the Amazons are doing. But I hope you've also seen what companies in the auto sector are doing to retain their customers. The big challenge with Maruti is my current buyer of a Maruti Suzuki, when he decides to change his car, must come back and buy another Maruti model, an upgraded model with more features, a premium model. In fact, I believe the race for acquiring customers is becoming so crazy that we almost have irrational behavior in some industries. It will shock you to know that of all the automobile companies present in India, barely 4 are profitable. When you calculate the true cost of capital, of course, Bajaj Auto leads the race with its 22% EBITDA margins. But the race to acquire customers, take a company like Ford or a Volkswagen in India. You think they are profitable? Sorry, I must clarify, I was talking about the four-wheeler industry when I mentioned that more than the two-wheeler industry. Competition in many industries is becoming irrational to acquire customers. The fifth change which has taken place is that we have entered an era of sensors and big data. I know you've heard this before, but let me tell you, there is a mad rush to collect data, to store data, to analyze data, and use data to predict what my customer wants, even ahead of the customer knowing what he wants. Data has become the new oil of the future. And this is the reality we are going to deal with, even as parts of the machine tool industry. The sixth thing is the tolerance level of customers towards any shortcoming in quality is going down, and customer expectation of more for less continues to grow. So there is no respite from competition. The race to acquire a customer, retain a customer, and to satisfy the customer when he wants more for less is growing. But this doesn't apply only to our external customers. This applies to our internal customers, our associates who are in the plants, our colleagues who work with us in our factories or in our offices. Their aspirations are growing. Their expectations are changing. They are now more exposed to what is happening in the world. And they are just not willing to accept such a glaring disparity in the quality of life as you see between a typical associate and a typical manager. But in the midst of all these changes which is taking place, India is happily chugging along. And those of you who have been looking at the macroeconomic data will find, irrespective of who is in power, UPA, NDA, or a coalition, India chugs along at 7% plus GDP growth. We may have hiccups of period when it comes down slightly, then we will pick up and move at a little faster rate, but we are moving along at 7% plus. This is a great situation to be in, where growth is almost guaranteed if you're ready for it. Concurrently, what is changing and which will accelerate the rate of India's growth and make it more demanding for you and me to meet the customer expectations is, the backbone of Indian economy is going through a significant change. It's being strengthened. Look at GST. Look at the bankruptcy code. Look at Real Estate Regulation Act. Look at the accountability of chartered accountants who certified books of accounts of companies which were not correct. They are now accountable directly. If you certify the books of account are correct, and it is found later that they are not only the management is responsible, as a chartered accountant, you're responsible. These are game changers which are changing the way business will be done in this country. Look at the focus on doubling of farmers' income. We didn't even think about this for so many years. But imagine if this were to happen, because now that they have made a statement, steps are being taken to realize this. It will be a game changer for the industry, for the country. And therefore, India's aspiration to move from the 6th largest economy that we have already become, the $2.6 trillion, and then to go on to the $5 trillion range, the $4.6, $4.8 trillion range by 2023, looks very real. So growth is available in this country. I might use this opportunity to share a very interesting data with you, which will just tell you how we are not able to feel the pace of change, but the change is taking place. The first $1 trillion GDP in India came in 50 years. The second $1 trillion came in 7 years. The third trillion in next 5 years. That is the stage we are at. And the fourth trillion will take less than 3 years. I don't want to speculate beyond that. This is the rate of change in Indian economy and the opportunity that is getting created for your goods and our goods. In order to illustrate that this is for real, in 2005, India and China both had 10 cars per 1,000 people. Today, India has close to 25, and China has 145. I can share the same statistics about trucks and about many other economic indicators. Once you enter the virtual cycle of growth, your backbone is strengthened, and politics begins to center around economy and development. Then you have unleashed a power, and we can reap the benefits for many years to come. But this is still a qualified opportunity. It is for those who are willing to change, who understand this new dynamics, and leverage what is needed, what is available as technology to move forward. It is still about people. It is still about process. It is still about technology. It is still about strategy. But it is different. And let me now tell you what is different. Jim Collins, who wrote this famous book, Good to Great, went on to write a sequel to that book called Great by Choice. I urge you to read it. It's a book which opens your mind to some new realities. I'll share 4 key thoughts that he has presented on who will be the winners of the future. And it doesn't matter your small scale, manufacturing, or service industry. He says strategy and execution are not enough. Having a good strategy and being able to do it on the shop floor is not enough. What will differentiate winners and laggards are things that are very hard to measure because they are intangible. And what are these things? Number 1, he calls it level 7 of ambition. In simple words, it's about passion. Unless people have something around which they can rally and feel strongly for, they will not deliver the best. And if you don't have people who are passionate, you will not be competitive and you won't be able to stay ahead in the race. He talks about giving people pride. If people take pride in their companies, in their leaders, then they deliver their best. I will spend a few minutes more in explaining this as it applies to our universe of manufacturing competitiveness. Second thought he gives about winners of the future is that companies that have got entrepreneurial energy, in simpler words, engagement, people who think like owners. Unless people feel empowered in a company, that I can take a decision, they will never deliver their best. I take a bit of a halt here to remind you of what I had shared earlier. A worker, the minute he steps out of our factory, takes his own decision on where to send his children to school, how much money to spend on groceries, which house to live in, where to marry his daughter, how much savings to have. He begins to take all decisions himself. He becomes a manager. The minute he enters inside our factory, we tell him to stand on a machine and follow a process and finish the work and go out. If this system doesn't change and he does not feel empowered, you will not get the entrepreneurial energy which is needed to be a winner going forward. The third aspect Jim Collins explains is called fanatic discipline. And he goes on to say, it's not just discipline. It's about fanatic discipline and discipline all round. It's about taking no shortcuts. Under any conditions, taking no shortcuts. Because the cost of failure will become so large, it can wipe you out if you just make one mistake. So you need to have fanatic discipline. And he goes on to talk about a fourth aspect, which is called productivity paranoia. Why he uses these words, maybe I can't explain. But what he means in this is that you are consistently thinking of what can go wrong in my process and finding a way to fix it ahead of time. You're constantly thinking of the next improvement. And I again take a halt here. When BMW finished designing a car and this car is commercialized and they launch it, on the day of the launch, typically, they destroy all the molds. It's time to begin thinking of the next model and the next improvement. Next set of improvements, which will go in the next model. On the day of the launch. So the culture is of not improvement, but the next and the next and the next. Never stopping. So this is what Jim Collins has gone on to describe as the winners of the future. Let's just spend a few minutes to understand what exactly does this, how does it apply to us? The first thing is about passion. Essentially, passion comes from two things. Number one, if you have a cause which is so powerful, when Mahatma Gandhi said, freedom for the people of India, It was such a powerful cause that people rallied around it. Lawyers, businessmen, farmers, housewives, everybody could identify with that big cause. When Mercedes-Benz says, the best or nothing, the best or nothing, it's a very powerful statement. We don't want to be the biggest car maker in the world. We don't want to be the most profitable car maker in the world. We don't want to be present in every geography in the world. We will make the best or we will not do it. Powerful rallying statements. Go back to your plants and have a look. What is our mission statement? Does it create that sense of a cause? I give an example. As management, what do we want? We want profits, we want growth, we want market capitalization, we want harmony, we want productivity. Right? We could ask for even more than this. This is what we want as management. For employee, how does it matter? None of these things matter, except maybe for harmony. Employees want fair treatment. They want fair wages. They want opportunity to grow. They want recognition for good work. They want opportunity to learn new things. They want, above all, that if something goes wrong, you will stand by me. They want a sense of pride and achievement, that when he goes out and says, I work for Delphi, I work for TVS, he must get a sense of pride. And what are we saying? I want profits, I want growth. He says, if you make more profit, how does it help me? His agenda is different. Your agenda is different. There has to be alignment for there to be passion. Unless we can bring about congruence and create a common cause around which all of us can rally, we will not be able to get the best out of our enterprises. I quote a personal example. One of the automobile companies in the country, we are a supplier to all of them practically, requested some of the suppliers, key suppliers, to find out why we are not able to get the best out of some of the suppliers who are their key suppliers. They have the best equipment, the best technology, they have foreign partnerships, but they're not delivering the best. What is missing? So some of us were given that responsibility and we went and spoke to companies, and I'm quoting now a personal example. We went and asked the associates on the shop floor, what is your job responsibility? Invariably the answer was, I have to make 650 pieces per day, per shift or whatever it was, and I have to deliver it, etc., etc. Then we went on and asked the manager, what is your job responsibility? What is the goal of the company? What is the agenda of the company? What do they want from you? And he spoke about rejection rates. His priority was how to manage changing schedules every day, from handling customer complaints, etc. Then we asked the supervisor, what is your role? And what do you think is the company goal? He was kind of confused. And when we met the general manager, he said, I have no time to talk to you. I'm preparing for my foreign trip. You could not find 4 sets of people in the same enterprise who could talk of a common goal or who had a common agenda, or who even understood what are the top 5 priorities of the company. We had carried the 5 priorities of the company from the owner of the company. We could not get more than 1 priority out of any single individual we spoke to. You are all part of the same company. You have been told that these are the priorities. But the reality on the ground is completely different because we have not created alignment. It is like sunshine. Unless you can put it through a lens and create that focus, you will never get the power of the sun. There is no alignment, there is no passion. Therefore, manufacturing competitiveness, in my view, one of the first things we have to attend to is how to create this passion, how to create this alignment, how to create that big cause around which people can rally. A second view towards passion and engagement is about consistency between what we say and what we do. Put your hand on your heart and say it. We want a safe working environment in our companies? Of course we do. How many of us are willing to stop production if there is something which is unsafe or seemingly unsafe? How many people can put their hands up and say, we have stopped production because I saw something was unsafe? We want a zero defect quality. Don't we all? Of course we do. But look how we take temporary or contract manpower, and when there's a shortage of permanent people who are skilled and highly skilled, we are willing to put them on operations to keep production going. What happens to our commitment towards zero defect quality? Difference between what we say and what we do. We want a team to be motivated, and we tell people that you are a family. I'm willing to change my name if my colleagues sitting over here say that once in their lifetime they have not used the word with their colleagues that we work for so-and-so company, we are a family, in order to motivate our people. But look at what we do. We have a different standard for our permanent, temporary, and contract associates. Surprisingly, in many companies, their uniforms are different, their food is different. How can we talk about a family and create this caste system within the family? How can you say that you are part of the family and the minute there is a downturn in the market, you lay them off? What is the first thing companies do when there is a slowdown in the market? What is the first thing? Do they cut their managers' salaries or perquisites? Get rid of the operators. And then we want him to come and give his 100% with passion, with ideas, suggestions. When there is a difference between what you say and what you do, you will get 2 hands. You will not get his head. You will not get his heart. I can give you many other examples. We always talk about teamwork. We need teamwork to get things done. Of course we need teamwork. But when it comes for annual appraisal, we give rewards to individuals. He worked very hard, he is very committed, he is very intelligent. We talk teamwork, we reward individuals. It's possible to find a balance between both. But unless we rethink our business models of management, we will not be ready to meet the next wave of competition. Look at how we talk of cost control. And look at how many people have lavish cars and lavish homes and lavish offices, etc. Everything is being seen. This is what creates trust or lack of it between our associates, our officers, and the senior management. Unless there is consistency, I say it with some sense of caution, but very responsibly. We talk of integrity as paradigms of virtues of people with values. We talk of integrity. But so many companies we have found are willing to cosmetically treat their balance sheets in order to pay less taxes or pay no taxes or to avoid taxes. We claim that customer is the most important person for us. We say we are customer-centric. Customer is the most important person for us. We say it. And when we are having a meeting in the conference room, we have enough words to call him very difficult, very unreasonable customer. We are willing to criticize the customer's expectations, behaviors, payment patterns, etc. in multiple ways. What this does is, it confuses people. It might be a very general statement. We forget that most of the time we are customers. We might be selling machine tools or we might be selling auto components for one bit of our life. But most of our life we are customers. We are buying homes, we are buying goods for home, we are buying groceries, we are buying motorcycles, and we are buying cars, and we are buying refrigerators, and we are buying washing machines. We are customers most of the time. And inside, when we come to the factory, when we start the discussion, we say we are customer-centric, but we are willing to find every fault with the customer. It is difference between what we say and what we do that leads to lack of engagement, lack of trust, and leaves people somewhat confused. So they tend to work in a gray area rather than a white or a black area. I want to repeat, without this trust, you will get 8 hours of work from him because he needs a job. He will come to work, he will give you 8 hours of work with his hands. He will not necessarily give you the best ideas. He will not stretch himself to deliver that little bit more. And he will not give you that competitive advantage which you need to stay ahead. The third idea I want to leave with you is about empowerment. The best way I could explain this is by taking the example of the Indian Army. Where do your associates come from? They come from villages, semi-urban areas, and they come to work inside your factory. So they come from a certain background, with a certain mindset, certain level of education, and many, many, many concerns in their mind. Where does the army recruit from? From the same place, the same villages, the same semi-urban areas, and the same set of people join them. What is the position of a soldier at the end of 5 years after he's been in the army? And what is the position of your worker at the end of 5 years working inside your factory? Why is it that the soldier is willing to die for his country, but your worker is not even willing to put in an hour overtime if required, or follow the simple process which you have explained to him? What is the essential difference? The essential difference is how the army trains its people. More importantly, how their leaders behave. It is said, no soldier is willing to die for his country. Soldiers are willing to die for his captain, for his lieutenant, for his Paltan chief. They fight for Paltan ka honor. The country is right there. Because they have such great loyalty towards the commander, whether he's captain or major or lieutenant or whatever he is, that he's willing to lay down his life. They go on suicide missions. And they're 5 years old in the army. Because the commander has won his respect, his trust. First he trains him. Then when they go out in the field for training and they put camps, you should see the major or the captain will not eat till his soldiers have eaten. He will not sleep till their beds are ready. He will announce a parade at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and be present at 6:45. When there is a soldier who is unwell, he will make sure that he receives the right treatment. It is by doing all this that he wins the trust of the soldier. And the soldier is willing to die for him, not for the country, for him. We have to sit back and think. The army has fanatic discipline, taking the word from Jim Collins. But they create fanatic trust. Is there some learning that we can all have from this to transform our organizations and become more competitive, where people deliver 200% of what they are delivering today? Imagine your company where everybody was passionate, everybody was engaged, everybody had full trust, and everybody gave ideas, and everybody put in his best. Where would we be? I am not underscoring technology and processes and capital. It is needed. But that's available. It can be bought. Passion can't be bought. Engagement can't be bought. Trust can't be bought. And this brings me to the next issue. About focusing on what you can do and it is in your realm. There is a circle of concern, things that we are concerned about. Inflation, rising cost of goods, sure, it's of concern. The time it takes to go from home to work and back, and traffic situation, sure. Politics, political uncertainty in the country, areas of concern. But look at your areas of influence, your circle of influence, your circle of concern versus your circle of influence. What is your biggest concern? Plug and play engineers are not available, right? When we recruit from a university and engineering college, the students who are coming out are not ready for the job. What they have learned is not applicable to the shop floor. It's a concern. Can you do something about it? Within your circle of influences, that you transform your company to think and behave like a university. You will teach them the principles of engineering. You will have training programs from basics on to advanced courses, refresher courses. You will invest much more in training of these people so that they are ready and they become good engineers. Indeed, if you take 10 engineers or 20 engineers, 7, 8, 10, 12 of them will go away. They will go away. Because not everybody is investing in training, but they will go away as your ambassadors, carry goodwill for you. And do not underestimate the power of that goodwill. I am proud to say, people have gone from Shriram Pistons, and there is not a single OEM in the country where our people are not there as ambassadors of our company. They are people who have won us business, they are people who have won us respect, they are people who have helped us in every multiple way. Because we gave them opportunity to learn and train in the company when they were still very young. Notwithstanding, and knowing fully well that many of them will go away. Let this be your CSR. Why is the CSR about only helping, school children? Why don't we help the people from engineering colleges who walk into our factories, give them the best training, knowing fully well many of them will go away? Our circle of concern is trained engineers not available. Our circle of influence is become the university and start training. Customers change their schedules very frequently. My colleagues who are sitting here from Mahindra, Bajaj Auto, etc. will confirm this fact. So many times in a month, schedules get changed. We don't want to make this Pulsar 150, we want to make more of this 200, so ABC changes take place. It happens all the time. It is an area of concern. It's a circle of concern for the component maker. Can I do something about it? Seemingly no, but actually yes. By investing in production lines that are more flexible. Production people typically don't like to make many changes. So we have created set-up teams whose only job is to make changes on the line when the model changes. They are trained, this is their mindset, this is who they are. The circle of concern is frequent changes. What's the circle of influence? Flexible production lines, quick setup changes in machine tools, special teams to make these changes. What kind of a company are you spending more time on circle of concern or circle of influence will decide your manufacturing competitiveness and your relevance going forward. I often give this example to people younger than me with darker hair who have teenage children. All people with teenage children have this concern when their daughter or son is 13 or 14 and becomes independent, starts speaking less with parents and more with boyfriends and girlfriends, and has interests which you do not necessarily approve of. That is your circle of concern. What is your circle of influence? That if your teenager says, I like Noel Beyonce's songs, do not talk of Kishore Kumar and Mukesh. Try to listen to Noel's Beyonce or Justin Bieber. It doesn't matter. Let them know that you are friends with them. All life is about circle of concern and circle of influence. And if you can find a way that we can spend more time thinking of the circle of influence rather than circle of concern, you gain a massive advantage which converts itself into a manufacturing competitiveness. I know I'm going to exceed the time, but I'm prepared to cut short whenever. Mr. Dhand, will you please raise your hand when you want? I will. The next issue I want to speak about competitiveness, manufacturing competitiveness, is this issue which we often ignore, that when we go from a small company to a larger company, first let me qualify. No company is small because it wants to be small. Companies are small because they have not yet learned how to become bigger. The aspiration of companies is to become larger, bigger, more profitable, more turnover. They haven't learned it yet. So with that qualification, I say as companies grow bigger, they become more complex. And complexity is cost. The biggest enemy of speed is complexity. Whether it's complex procedures, you have to sit back in your company and say, how easy am I as a company to deal with for my suppliers? Do they think I'm an easy company to work with? Or my procedures are very complex, bureaucratic, and slow? This decides the speed with which actions get taken, decisions get taken, changes get made. And we spoke earlier about the fact about the speed of change. The result of all this is, unless we invest time to simplify, 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 we will end up with cost structures which we think are required, but which are actually only overhead, or they are not non-value adding. Most important thing that happens with complexity is evident from our Indian administrative service. I speak respectfully so that I'm not in courts tomorrow. Look at the IAS. They select the most brilliant people from our country. The people who are doing best in schools and colleges go to IITs and go to IIMs, and many of them aspire for IAS and go there. They take the most brilliant minds, the best educated people. But how many of you believe that Indian bureaucracy is efficient, is fast, solves your problems? They are sensitive. Why not? They are the most brilliant people. Because you have put them in an ecosystem which is complex. They are always looking over the shoulder. Decision makings become slower, or it is avoided. This is called risk-averse behavior. At a time when you want people to take risk, to come with ideas and suggestions and fail and get up and move on again, we create complexity which leads to risk-averse behavior. For manufacturing competitiveness or competitiveness of any kind, simplicity is the answer. The simpler the processes and procedures, the more people will be able to contribute, and faster will be the speed with which your company will move forward. Okay, I close this with a very brief summary of what I shared with you. I did want to tell you some of the lessons learned from the World Cup football, which ended recently in Russia. And I thought it was a great learning for all of us, but at another time. So as a summary, India is poised to grow, but it's a qualified opportunity. Second, customer expectations are growing and changing. Business will become more competitive. If you think today business is competitive, you don't know what's going to hit you. It will become much more competitive, much more demanding. You need to be flexible and you need to be agile. If you're not building systems to react fast, respond fast, you will lose competitiveness. You will lose business. The key challenge in manufacturing competitiveness is to get your people to deliver the best. It is only when people will appear on the asset side of a balance sheet that we will have achieved our goals. It's about passion, and passion is about alignment with company goals. It is creating a spirit of ownership. It is about creating that entrepreneurial mindset when I'm willing to take decisions, fail, but get up and go and carry on. It's about doing exactly what I'm saying, no different. No difference between what I say and what I do. It's about understanding your circle of concern and your circle of influence and focusing on what you can do rather than what you can do nothing about. There is a new wave about data, and all of you are very well versed with digital technology. This is the game changer. It will redefine manufacturing. I am sure several sessions have been held around it, so I did not want to touch upon it. But it is the game changer. What we can do about it is to create digital literacy. If you go to China, into a company which is speaking, where people speak only Chinese, and you speak only English, can you do business? You cannot. For a Chinese, you are illiterate. Just as for you, he is illiterate. In business, if you do not understand IT, if you're not digitally literate, you are illiterate. And this applies to everyone across the company. So we have to invest in creating digital literacy, not with our engineers, but with everybody across the company, starting with associates. It's all about building trust, because that unleashes energy of a kind which helps you to become completely devoted, willing to die for the country, like the armed forces. It's about creating trust. It's about reducing complexity and simplifying. Something that I wanted to speak about, but I couldn't get a chance to, is about building partnerships. The era of do-it-yourself is gone. Unless you create a culture of partnerships. What is Uber? Uber is nothing but a great example of partnership. Somebody owns the vehicle. Somebody else drives the vehicle. Somebody else brings the customer to the vehicle. Somebody else handles the payments through Paytm or whatever it is. And somebody else takes on annual contracts for maintaining them. Somebody agrees to buy the vehicle at the end of 4 years. Today, this is partnership. Look for examples of partnership within your company. How many things you are trying to do yourself? What is your asset utilization? Also, partnerships across borders. I'm very proud to stand here and say, the longest standing partnership in auto sector, between any Indian and German company is Shriram Pistons. The longest standing partnership between a Japanese company and an Indian company in the field of auto and auto components is Shriram Pistons. Because we have nurtured these partnerships with transparency, with trust. Till today, in 40 years, our books have not been audited by our collaborators. Whatever we say is accepted. That is transparency. Partnerships don't dissolve only because you have different dreams. You can create congruence in dreams. They dissolve because somewhere trust is lost. Building partnerships is the new way of doing business and creating competitiveness. You don't need your capital. You partner with somebody. I must say thank you very much for being a great audience and giving me this opportunity to share these thoughts with you.
Thank you, Mr. Taneja. I am sure everybody had a lot more than from a manufacturing CEO. Like yesterday, we heard Mr. Murugappa. So I'm sure so there's not much time because he has covered such a vast canvas. I don't think there will be many questions, but still I will honor a couple of questions quickly because we are running a little late. And so many people have to take flights and all in the evening. Anybody? 2 questions.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Gopalakrishnan. I am from Hyundai Motors. So first of all, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Very highly thoughtful, impactful inputs. Truly, I am very much inspired by your thoughts, sir.
Quickly, the question, please.
Sir, you have been telling about the bell curve, teamwork and individually rewarding. Is there any better way of assessing the performance of team, balancing the teamwork and individual performance?
Yeah, you can use. You want to go over there? Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Since there's no time, I'm running over here. I want to be sure I understood your question correctly. You said about wanting teamwork and rewarding individuals. Is there another way to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. You have given me a chance to share something which I wanted to earlier about the World Cup football. Mr. Dhand, I'm sorry, but
No.
What can I do?
It's popular demand. It's popular demand. So that's what I
okay. Did you notice in World Cup football that teams that relied on solo performance, individual brilliance, whether it was Lionel Messi from Argentina or Ronaldo from Portugal, they were not able to go too far. But teams that were relying on teamwork went very far. You look at France. I challenge the set of people sitting here to name me 4 stars. But I can name you 4 stars from Germany who died of overconfidence. The fact is, the French team demonstrated extraordinary teamwork. The Japanese team demonstrated extraordinary teamwork. The Japanese team, of course, did something even more brilliant. Who won the World Cup? France. Which was the most popular team? Croatia. And which team went back winning the hearts of the people? Japanese. Because they cleaned the stadium before they left any time. When the opposite team was doing well, they cheered. They showed they had character. They didn't say, he's not doing it, so why should I do it? Or it's not my job. In any case, the stadium will be cleaned by other people. They said, it's my job. It's my culture. I found it clean, I will leave it clean. When people play good football, I will cheer. And Japan played as a team. So whether it was Japanese spectators or the Japanese players, both left winning the hearts of the people. How does this apply to teamwork and individuals? When you reward individual brilliance, the company begins to depend on that individual brilliance. It leads to jealousy. It leads to lack of teamwork. Exactly the opposite of what you want to achieve. There are many ways you can recognize individual brilliance. He can grow faster. Sure, you can promote him. But you must, when you are rewarding, you must reward the team that worked with him. No individual can help you to score those goals. And no individual in your company can help you to achieve competitiveness. It is about teamwork. And many times people who have contributed less in the team will also get rewarded because you reward the team. It is lesser of the two evils. Let me close with one comment. Suppose there are 20 engineers working in a department. Somebody gets an increment of 3,000 rupees, somebody gets 2,000 rupees, somebody gets 2,500, somebody gets 1,500 rupees. There's a company next door where engineers get double of this, 5,000 rupees, 4,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees. The engineers in your company are not concerned with what happened in that company. For the same amount of 8 hours of work, maybe less. They are more concerned with what happened to my colleague. Why did he get more? Why did I get less? Unless your appraisal system is transparent and open, unless it is designed to help people to grow, unless it clarifies exactly what are the expectations and align it with the company goals properly and help him to measure it, let him self-measure it. If you do that, this disparity causes less heartburn. That is why I say new models of HR practices need to be brought in when teamwork has become much more important than individual brilliance. This is a subject for another time, but this is all I can share with you right now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think we'll have to close now.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll have some other time, please, because I'm pressing me for time. But okay, some next thing there. Yeah.